Threw down his second barracks. Now, is he getting it after his second barracks, or is he getting it after his Ghost Academy? Oh, okay. He's getting it after his second barracks, when it's about halfway done. Notice how I asked that question to myself. I didn't say, okay, what food does he get it at? Or when exactly does he get it relative to the other things? I pretty much said, does he get it after his barracks? Or does he get it after his Ghost Academy? Because those were two gigantic steps. And I want to be able to measure it based on that. It looks like, yeah, he got his barracks and his bunker first, and then pretty much got the gas when he could. Let's actually, if we want to back it up to get some sort of exact time on it, let's slow it down a touch. Yeah, it seemed that he started it right after his barracks and his bunker. And then he got the refinery. So that's something useful to see. Alright, fantastic. So now that we've talked a little bit about absorbing this build and thinking about how to extract it from a replay package, and also, again, noting, oh wow, look at the usefulness of the delayed Reaper. And Adele is going for, looks like just 3-gate Warp Gate. Again, another one of those standards, and of course, moving the pylon into the middle of the map to reinforce these warp gates, and of course the Reaper doing a ton of damage, forcing all these probes off mining for a long time. In the meanwhile, Braddock, ooh yeah, building ghosts, loading up into the bunker. But yeah, the delayed Reaper is probably my favorite thing in the world in Terran vs. Protoss. Especially in this matchup, where, you know, you can do things like this. Get this Zelnaga Watchtower, which is just free vision. And hey, I'm starting to really say, yeah, this bunker actually does seem to be pretty necessary. And what's cool is that it's free. You can salvage it later on. As long as it's not getting in the way when you make it, then yeah, definitely build a bunker. And I can see now why it's useful. I didn't get the chance to question this bunker. That would have been a natural next step. Again, supposing this is a replay pack, it's entirely likely that Braddock could play 4, 5, 6 games in a row, and no one would ever attack this bunker. And as someone who is watching the replay pack, I would go, huh, is that bunker really useful? Seems that it actually is useful, because all these stalkers tried to pop up and do some serious hurt. And Adele scouting with a... excuse me, Braddock scanning Adele, checking out what's up. Seeing that there are still, in fact, 3 warp gates, and I would actually say it's pretty significant that there's no second geyser down. Adele trying to bust down the back door. Oh. Looks like Braddock trying to do just his normal thing. Yeah, I just think this is a very cool little way to play. And look, Combat Shield also about halfway done, and now these Stalkers getting positioned here. Cool positioning, because if we just have 1 or 2 Stalkers here, by the time we break down these destructible rocks, we might be able to do some good control and just pick off some guys from above. So, oh, look at this, Braddock salvages that. Builds another one back here, just basically managing that 100 resources that went into this bunker. I think it's going down a little bit late, though. And the question is, will Braddock hold? Oh my goodness. And what else is going on here? More chrono boosting on these warp gates. Super all-in-ish, I'll say. Ooh, and there's the huge EMP. Look at that, getting every single one of those. Isn't that amazingly? I should just back that up a little bit. This is pretty cheese-proof, because anytime you have a small cluster of these units, they really do need to be quite effective. And if you can basically have the life on all of them, you're going to be in amazing shape. Again, I'm a little bit more prone to stim in this spot before Combat Shield. I would imagine that this Combat Shield before stim is related to... Actually, I'm not sure. I almost said that, yeah, I bet it's related to Colossi, but it used to be the case that a Colossus could kill a Marine in one shot, but that was way long ago, so I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning is behind that. So here is a gigantic force. Look at how much more space Adele's army takes up than Braddock's. Still, Braddock is a little bit ahead in the food. But let's just see how unbelievably good this can get. And uh-oh, there is another 75 energy. I wouldn't mind planting an EMP there. Trying to do some nice little micro. Adele's Stalkers do outrange Braddock's Marines. This is where it was pretty laggy. And, yeah, I left the game, yeah. Very proud of myself for that one. Primary reason I showed this replay, right? I get to demonstrate my honor. Yeah, look at that gigantic EMP going off, just obliterating all those front lines. And I wouldn't say that Braddock had to do a huge amount of crisis management here. I mean, pretty much moving the bunker from here to there was the scariest thing that he had to do. But other than that, just sitting, hanging out, chilling. Is he making more SCVs? Yeah. Seems good. And it's at this point in the game where I notice things like, oh hey, Braddock got an extra supply. I would want to rewatch that later and see what the context of that was. Uh-oh, big force moving in by Adele. Oh man, is Stim done yet? Wow, finally it's done. Go ahead, Stim, Braddock. Stim. Do the damage, hurt him. And of course, Adele doing the very reasonable move of expanding after he goes 3 warp gate. Very, very, very typical stuff. But how many ghosts? Let's go to the unit counting station. Yeah, it looks like 1 ghost. Oh, and there's the Stim. Look at the Zealots just turn into butter. And one thing to note, units target medevacs over anything else. Medevacs have a really high attack priority for your units, so be careful with them, because their units will auto-target yours. So Braddock getting a little bit high in the money department, I would imagine, because he is having a little bit of a hard time spending it, because, you know, all the tech structures are getting close to finished. In the first game, we noted that at a little while before this, Braddock was throwing down a command center to expand. So I would say that if you're in a tough spot as Braddock, definitely build a 3rd barracks earlier on. Otherwise, you know, just happily expand. And God, look at how fast all the Zealots die. That is just incredible. Braddock doing a little bit of scouting here. Oh, doing a little bit of sneaking an expo on the left side of the map. I'm not the biggest fan of this. I prefer more stable choices like, you know, building a command center here or just building another barracks here. Just something that doesn't rely on them. Oh, I hope he doesn't scout me at the left, because really, Adele has absolute map control at this point. And hey, it looks like Braddock just taking a little sneak peek. And by the way, I got the chance to see another one of Adele's games. This is a brief aside. He has this really interesting style where he favors largely Zealots and Stalkers, almost like Brood War style with Zealots and Dragoons, and it's really cool to see how much expanding and macroing he can do. I really want to experiment with it. But again, I mean, oh, look at that huge EMP. Again, this little mix that Braddock has is just so potent. Just a bunch of Marines in defensive position with a Ghost and a few medevacs. Not a ton of Ghosts, not a ton of medevacs. Just some, and not a ton of Marines, just a decent amount early on. But the fact is, they all work together to make a very, very scary little force. And, you know, one of the main reasons I'm showing this is that this is not something that requires incredible micro. It really isn't. I honestly think that any Terran player could pull off this opening that Braddock's doing. I mean, there's you need to pull your medevacs back a little bit, but I mean, this pushing, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward pushing coming on right now for Braddock. Very straightforward teching. No extraordinarily subtle timings going on here. Just general honest-to-goodness goodness. And of course this little SCV apparently is going to be taking out a pylon of his own. And I will happily speed it up to the rewarding parts. Yeah, death killing. Yeah. EMP coming up. EMP. God, this Ghost wants EMP so bad. Do it, Ghost. Do it. Throw the EMP down. You don't have enough energy. Do it anyways, Ghost. Time to type in The Gathering. Oh, that's a hell of a throwback reference. If any of you got that, power to you. But man, this medevac count certainly climbs just off 1 starport. And, you know, powering hard. Look at how much money Braddock's getting. I would say that's due to the Gold Expo. And easy peasy, Parcheesi, running in there, doing the Russian fist. And of course, this game actually did lag a little bit, so I feel a little bit bad for Adele, because I'm not gonna lie, as a gamer, lag ruins my life. By the way, it's increasingly orangey. This is actually more like what my room looks like. I miss that dark green pasty look that highlighted my deep depression of playing Typing of the Dead with carpal tunnel. Ugh. I shudder to recall those memories from like 3 hours ago. So we are now going to move on to some games against Huck. I'm actually going to watch these out of... no, not out of order. Let's just watch this one. Yeah. And bam. So this is a game on Lost Temple, another lovely choice of map that I absolutely adore. So we've seen two different little styles go on. One was a 4 warp gate all in. One was a little bit more standard pressure from Adele. But, you know, we got a chance to see that Braddock is pretty scrappy with this, and we're going to see something even crazier. So, speaking of crazy, Huck does this thing where at the start of games, he just right-clicks like crazy with rally points. I'm actually going to show that again. Let's just rewind. Don't crash on me now, Starcraft 2. Yeah, look at this. Watch the orange.